Welcome back to Voters Decide the Hispanic Vote 2024, a town hall. I'm Eliott Rodriguez. I'm at Florida International University. We're talking about the importance of the Hispanic vote in the race for the White House in 2024. Now, FIU's Jack D. Gordon Institute for Public Policy released the results of the annual Hispanic Public Opinion Survey in December. The poll found that support for President Joe Biden has eroded by 14% from 67% in 2020 to 53% today. That's among Hispanics. While also an unpopular choice, the survey results revealed that support for former President Trump has seen a rise from 29% in 2020 to 33% today. And that leaves me wondering, what is Donald Trump doing right now to attract Hispanic voters, or are they simply moving away from Joe Biden? Our next question along these lines is from David Smiley, who's the political editor of the Miami Herald. David.
Hi. We have heard the word contradiction already tonight, and there would appear to be some contradictions in the increasing support of Hispanic voters for Donald Trump. He sought to register his trademark in Cuba in 2008. He has said immigrants are poisoning the blood of America. He has talked about ending birthright citizenship. And I would like to ask this question of Irina and Ninochka. What does that perspective miss about what Trump is doing to increase support with Hispanic voters? And what does it misunderstand about the idea that Hispanic voters would recoil at some of those controversial positions?
Thank you, David, for your question. First of all, I'd like to make something clear. I'm not here for Donald Trump. I'm here for my daughter. My daughter, because when we got to this country, we literally came with the clothes we were wearing, Eliott, and we came a family of 7. My daughter's an only child, reared by a single mother. I work, my family and I have worked in a very difficult business where 9 out of 10 restaurants fail yearly. Donald Trump can say whatever he wants. I'm not here to represent Donald Trump. I'm here to represent the policies that have been effective for this country. Whether I agree with every word that comes out of his mouth or I don't is irrelevant. But we want policies that are practical and policies that bring stability, economic stability, political stability, social stability. We see it in schools. We see it at our border. We're seeing it around the world. The world is on fire, and this president is not cutting it.
Ninochka?
I'll tell you one of the reasons that Trump has so much support, and it's precisely the Democratic Party that's demonizing him and the media. The 2008 question on Cuba, let me tell you what happened. In 2008, Trump wrote, and it's in the Miami Herald, one of the best articles as to why people should not invest in Cuba. He said that his partners in Europe had asked him to join in the casino magic and invest in Cuba for the future. And the reasons that he stated why he would not were the best that anybody has ever written. Because of the way workers were treated, because of violations of human rights, and that's in the Herald and the Wall Street Journal. What happened? Everybody came out saying, oh, he wants to invest in Cuba, and it was a lie. It was a lie because we brought Trump to Miami at that time. And that's precisely exactly what he said in that article. He said it. And this is what people are tired of. You talk about rhetoric, but Obama deported more people than Trump will ever dream of doing. And when you talk about the plan to arrange the border, what's happening? 5,000 people a day. That's the solution. 5,000 people a day. What country or city can handle that?
I need to get Jose in here. Jose, are you concerned about this movement of support from Joe Biden to Donald Trump at this point by Hispanic voters?
Well, before I get there, I want to correct a couple of things. One, you mentioned the fentanyl crisis. Do you know what percent of
I mentioned what a voter said in New Hampshire.
Well,
what a voter said in New
Hampshire. Yeah, but that implies that immigrants are bringing fentanyl into the country.
And they're not?
86%
where does
Americans were Americans, native-born Americans who brought it. 0.02% were immigrants.
Well, the border is open and fentanyl is
number two, you're complaining about the people coming into this country. Well, the economy has been powered and has been doing well thanks to the immigration coming in.
Oh, obviously.
They added $1 trillion. They added $1 trillion.
Let me ask Professor Gamarra, what are
groceries.
Hispanics saying about how they feel about the economy right now? Hispanic voters.
That's a very good question, because while in the surveys we are finding, yes, the concern is over inflation, right, and over the economy. And that's really what every American is saying. Every survey says that, and it doesn't really matter. Fernand can tell you the same. Really, any survey, anywhere, it's usually the economy, right? But I think when you contrast that, and this is really I think a serious, perhaps disconnection that the Democrats have had over the last few years. In fact, there's a very good article today in The Economist. The Economist says that the U.S. has an extraordinary economy, okay? Extraordinary compared to the rest of the world. We have the lowest inflation, the highest growth rate, the lowest unemployment rate. We have really an economy that most people would love to have. There's been a tremendous disconnect, however, between what those numbers tell you and the perception among people, and largely because, as Ninoska said, and more so in Florida, Ninoska, than anywhere else, right? Because the inflation numbers for the rest of the United States are lower than they are in Florida, okay? And one of the things that you have here is what is driving high prices in Florida.
I think we have an audience question.
Absolutely. A March 5th Miami Herald article that quoted a poll done by the re-election campaign of Miami-Dade Mayor Danielle Levine Cava by EMC Research specified that Donald Trump now leads Joe Biden, or rather Joe Biden leads Donald Trump by just 11 points, or perhaps it was the other way within Miami-Dade County. Now, many of us know in this audience that voter registration mildly favors Democrats within the county. And we know that in 2016, Hillary Clinton stampeded to a nearly 30-point victory. But in 2020, whether it was in suburban neighborhoods like Kendall and Coral Gables, or areas like Doral and Hialeah, where there's really high rates of Obamacare numbers, that voter registration, that the results presidentially completely changed. Democratic votes collapsed by just 7,000, stagnated, but over 200,000 new voters turned out for Donald Trump. So within that context, this recent poll suggested that Donald Trump leads Joe Biden by 10 points among non-Cuban Hispanics and by 41 points among Cubans. So with all of your knowledge and your expertise, what rifts do you see between Cuban and non-Cuban Hispanics, and what do you think Democrats could do to combat the inroads that Republicans have made in the county presidentially and down ballot? Thank you very much.
Fernand, you want to take a stab at that?
Sure. As a Democrat, it pains me to say that the gains that have been made by the Republicans are because the Democrats are absent from the playing field. They have abandoned Florida for the most part. I don't say that with glee. I don't say that with happiness. Our firm showed that in 2018, Florida and South Florida was likely to be the one area in one state resistant to the national blue wave, which we saw happen because of the lack of a Democratic engagement effort. That pattern continued in 2020. The big secret is the Biden campaign did not invest in Florida. It was really only an investment at the 11th hour by Michael Bloomberg that created any sense of a campaign. And this time around, the Biden campaign, I believe, is going to, at this point at least, not engage again in Florida unless in the summer, polling shows that the race has become closer, more competitive, and I don't necessarily blame him this time around. Biden showed and proved that he can win without the state of Florida, and this election, it is more important than Joe Biden and Donald Trump. This election is about two things. It's about whether or not this 247-year experiment in representative democracy continues, or if we go the way of an authoritarian day one dictator, which are the words not of me, but of Donald Trump. Out of the words of his own mouth 3 times, I will be a day one dictator. You better believe it.
All right, we're going to delve into that a little more. But right now we're going to take another break. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the town hall, pocketbook issues like inflation and the economy are top of mind among Hispanic voters. We'll take a closer look at the role the economy will play in presidential politics.